Sabah el-ful or Masa el-ful, depending on the time that you're watching this. If you would like to know what this Egyptian Arabic phrase means and many other Egyptian Arabic phrases, please subscribe, ding ding ding, here. Make sure you have clear goals and a purpose for studying Arabic. Is it for travel? Is it for work? Is it for the Quran? Because there are a lot of cultural differences that you will see, face, experience when you get to Egypt. So make sure that you at least have something that you're passionate about, you have the language learning that you want to see through, just in case, you know, you become depressed or whatever because of the cultural differences. The two centres that I'm going to be speaking about are the Nile Centre and the Aleem Centre, both located in Medinat Nasr City in Hay Sabi', the 7th district. You will see a map here. It's an area not too far from the airport and also not too far from downtown. And I took group classes in the Nile Centre and I took private classes in the Aleem Centre. So what's the difference between the two? In the group classes, there's a maximum number. The maximum number of students in group classes is 12. And in the private classes, it can be you and the teacher. It can be 2 students and a teacher, 3 students and a teacher. And the costs are lower. You pay lower cost per person if you take private classes with more than one person, right? So there are different books that are used in the Nile Centre and the Aleem Centre. The Nile Centre, we use the Accommodation books, and in the Aleem Centre, the Baina Yadayk, which I think many Arabic learners are familiar with. And there are 12 levels. So to go from complete beginner to advanced, it will take you a full year. Each level is 1 month. For the Nile Centre, the Accommodation books, and I believe it's 14 levels maybe for the Baina Yadayk books. Like I said, 1 level is 1 month. Before you even are put into a level, you take an entrance test. So they take you down to, you know, a dungeon and give you a paper, and you have to take the test. And just kidding. You have to take a test. The test is all in Arabic. I should mention now and be warned, if you are someone who can read and write Arabic but do not know the grammar and do not know a lot of vocabulary, then they're going to put you in the beginner class, the Alif Ba Ta class. If you don't want to spend a whole year there, I would recommend brushing up on the grammar and vocabulary before you get to Egypt. After the entrance test, you are placed in your level. Like I said, each level is 1 month. The hours. So for the group classes, there are 40 hours in a month in both the Nile and the Aleem Centre. 2 hours per day, 5 days a week. The working week in Egypt is from Sunday to Thursday. Friday and Saturday are Igaza in the dialect, local dialect, or Utla, as we say in Fusha. And that's another thing I should mention. They offer other courses outside of the group classes and the private classes that are always in Fusha, in modern standard Arabic. They have Egyptian colloquial dialect, the Amiyya. They have Quran classes. There are calligraphy classes, grammar classes, so many more. So that will vary also depending on the centre. The most important factor, you know, when it comes to deciding, you know, which school that you want to study at, or one of the most important factors, is the cost. There is active price discrimination that goes on at these centres, and this is based on your nationality. So if you are British, if you are French, if you are American, you pay a higher cost than someone who's Nigerian, Malaysian, Russian, for example. The prices that are online and the prices that you will be quoted if you go to the centre directly are completely different. They will not quote you in dollars in the centres. Actually, this depends as well, because you get a special discount if you're Muslim as well, right? So it depends on who you are, it depends on your background, it depends on a whole bunch of different factors. You know, if your bargaining skills are good, I guess you can also get a discount as well. So just be warned that the online prices are different. The most popular ones, I think, Arabic centres in Egypt, in Nasr City, are the Fajr and Ibana, I believe, Ibana. They also actively price discriminate. Let me just put that out there. They charge you a different cost depending on the nationality, and I think they give you a discount if you're a Muslim as well. They have a lot more European students, whereas in the Nile Centre, most of the students are from Southeast Asia or from other Asian countries, namely Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, Russia, different African countries as well. There are a lot of Somalis, Eritreans, Ethiopians, and Nigerians as well that come to these centres. So yeah, there's a different feel depending on which centre you're at. The Nile Centre, for the 40 hours per month, is 800 Egyptian pounds, and at the Aleem Centre is 500. There's absolutely no difference in the quality of teaching, in the quality of the teachers, the material. But the Nile Center is much bigger. There are two centers. There's a center for women and there's a center for men, whereas in the Aleem Center it's a lot smaller. It's a family-run business essentially, and there are maybe 6 maximum students per class, which is great. I mean, you get to spend more time interacting and engaging with the teacher. In the Nile Center, you can take one of 2 routes. For the group classes and also for the private classes as well. So you can either take the conversational Arabic, which is conversational Fusha, so you focus less on grammar and more on speaking and vocabulary, or you can take the route where you study more grammar, which is it's a lot more difficult, and I think maybe there are less levels, but it's a lot harder than the conversational route. But with the Bain Yadayk, you learn everything that's in the book. You have no alternative routes, you learn everything. But I think with the Bain Yadayk books, it includes a lot more vocabulary and includes a lot more hiwar. Hiwar. Oh my god, I'm forgetting English. Dialogue. There you go. The second most important topic is the visa. Okay, I will mention at the beginning of the video, or at the beginning of this topic, that I overstayed my visa by 3 months. And you might be shocked, you might be, you know, holding in your breath, you might have just spilled your tea on yourself, I don't know. But this is perfectly normal and okay amongst, you know, the foreigners in Egypt. A lot of us had expired visas and it wasn't a big issue. I have a British passport from the from the Egyptian embassy here in the UK in London. You can get either the 1-month single entry visa, which is valid for 30 days, or the 3-month visa, which is I believe £32 maybe or something like this. Or upon arrival in Cairo airport, you can get your visa for $25, I believe. That's the single entry 1-month visa. I was sick, and so I only could get my visa from the airport in Egypt, which I did. And when I was there, I learned quickly that everyone has an expired visa. All you have to do is pay a fine at the airport when you're leaving, which is what I did. So for example, you know, if you go there for a month and you decide you like it, you can, you know, overstay and there'll be no issues. You know, when I was getting checked for whatever reason, you know, whenever there's an identity check, they check my passport. They never really looked at my visa, or even if they did, there wasn't an issue. You know, I would have said I'm going to pay the fine at the airport, which I did. Overstaying 3 months, the fine is 1,515 Egyptian pounds, which is maybe 60 or so quid. If you do want to take, you know, the legal has a different meaning in Egypt because everyone is involved in the informal, I don't want to say illegal because it's just normal there, the informal, more informal route, right? You can try to extend your visa, but it's long and it's expensive. I will just go over some of the prices. For example, you can get a packet of cigarettes for 25 Egyptian pounds. If you want to go to Egypt and pick up, you know, a cheap hobby, then just kidding, don't do that. Water at 1.5 litre. I don't see 2 litre bottles there. A 1.5 litre bottle will be 5 Egyptian pounds. Bus fare, the microbus, they're called, the small buses, I'm going to put a picture here, between many different areas in Cairo will cost you between 1 or 2 Egyptian pounds. It depends actually on the journey length. So it's the same with Uber. There's Uber in Egypt, in Cairo anyway, and Kareem as well. It's a more local service. Actually, Kareem they have in a few countries. It's depending on where you're going, between 10 to 60 Egyptian pounds. If you want to go from the center to downtown, it will cost you maybe 40 or 50 Egyptian pounds. If you want to go to an area called Maadi, which is a bit further down, it's where all the foreigners are. There are a lot of nice restaurants there as well. It's a lot safer in general, so you can walk around. There are many parks and stuff. I think that will cost you maybe 60 Egyptian pounds. So it's very, very affordable. Fresh fruits and vegetables are so cheap. So cheap. You can get yourself a kilo of aubergines, are really popular, for 5 Egyptian pounds. You can get yourself a kilo of oranges for 6 Egyptian pounds. Because I was by myself, I was cooking for myself, and I didn't need to get a kilo of anything, but I never paid more than 20 Egyptian pounds for all of the different fruits and vegetables that I got. You can get a cheap meal for less than 10 Egyptian pounds. And when I say cheap meal, I mean koshari, the national dish of Egypt. And sandwiches are really popular there as well. Damiya sandwiches. Damiya is what they call, is how they call falafel in Cairo. or full sandwiches are really popular. They're literally just, it's like a pita bread with whatever filling inside. You can get those for maybe 3 Egyptian pounds from the street. At high-end restaurants, you'll be obviously paying a bit more. Maybe I would say 200 pounds from a higher-end restaurant, 200 Egyptian pounds that is. You can go from being working class here to being middle class in Egypt. Clothes are kind of expensive, I should mention that. Especially if you go during the colder months, from maybe, I don't know, November to February. You will need a coat, you will need jumpers. It's not as cold as London, but it does get chilly in Egypt. Everything is cheap, but clothes are kind of expensive. So, you know, you go from paying £10 and £15 Egyptian pounds to, I don't know, 400, 500 pounds for like a jumper. I will talk about accommodation. Okay, so I went to Egypt by myself, and this was the biggest nightmare that I faced. Not when I was in Egypt, before I went to Egypt, a month before I left. I was trying so hard online to find, I'm sounding like Donald Trump, oh my god. So hard online to find accommodation. This concept of living alone does not exist in Egypt, so a lot of homeowners will refuse to rent you their apartments. Even if, you know, you say you're going to pay double, they will refuse to rent you their apartments if you are coming by yourself. This is an issue that I faced. There are a lot of Facebook groups actually that you can join, and there are a lot of people there who are looking for flatmates or who are renting out their flats. But it's difficult to, you know, determine whether or not you're going to like the flat, you know, what issues that exist, etc, when you are here and the flat is in another country, in another continent, right? So what I would highly recommend, and what I did, was I booked an Airbnb for the entirety of my stay, actually, because like I said, nobody would rent me a flat. And it was, by Egyptian standards, quite expensive. It was £250 per month for a private room in a flat. £250 per month, you can get a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. So, you know, I sucked it in. At least, you know, I told myself, at least I have my internet and my hot water and everything else provided. So what I would recommend doing is going to Egypt, staying in a hotel or staying in an Airbnb for a couple of weeks and meeting people at the center or meeting locals who will 100% know someone who is hiring out either an apartment or renting a room. So definitely go there first and then see what's available. Do not try to sort out your accommodation, your long term, I mean more than a couple of weeks, more than a month, from the UK or from whichever other country. So I've spoken about accommodation, about the courses, about the visa, prices. I'm not sure if there's anything else that I should mention, but like I said, I'm going to make a part 2 video talking about my own personal experience. I'll go a bit more into detail about the course content and Fusha versus Amiya, the Egyptian colloquial or local dialect. What to do in Egypt, I don't know. I'll address many different things in another video. If you have any comments or if you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Like I said, please, if you are considering making this move, make the move now whilst the exchange rate is in your favor.